Hey y'all, it is Andrea here with VW Family Farm, and welcome back to our channel and to our farm. I just wanted to take a few minutes and spend with you guys and share something I've been thinking about a lot lately that I think will really benefit you on your farm and on your homestead and just in your life in general. I took a video. We've been hot and heavy into either clipping pastures with the bush hog. There's so many benefits to doing that. When you are regeneratively farming or rotationally grazing, there's all these terms that are thrown around. Basically, you're trying to heal the land with animals and with working with nature instead of against it. But even when you do that, there's still going to be weeds pop up, and there's going to be undesirable, growth in there, and you're going to have to do some clipping of your pastures and your fields. One thing we're facing right now is a pink eye outbreak, and so I got a little footage of Lane today back at the cows clipping their pastures. Now this is the pastures the animals are actually on right now, but when those things get stemmy and get a little overgrown, they can kind of poke them in the eye and irritate them. The pollen on some of those flowers and things can get in their eye and irritate them. So we're trying to do what we can to help the cows out. So now you can see I'm at a totally different part of our farm. Ben is actually cutting hay. That's what he's doing in these fields. These are the fields that we have the animals off of. This is what we're cutting our winter stockpiles on. We're cutting our hay, gonna bale that up so we can feed our animals during the times that there's not enough grass. Now we're working towards being able to graze year round. That would be the goal, but we're not there yet. So we are cutting hay and rotationally grazing and just doing what we can, trying to improve. Then more and more your soil improves, then you're gonna have less and less undesirable growth, less and less weeds and things that you don't want in your pasture that are not beneficial to what you're doing. So we're still working towards that. And so you can see I'm in a field here that it has a lot of good grass. It's really beautiful. Should turn off a lot of grass, which in turn makes a lot of hay and will make a lot of pounds of beef. So that's the goal. But right here, I stopped in this specific location for a reason, and I wanted to kind of show you this. So what I showed you is actually ragweed, and that is not something that we want growing in our pastures to cut for hay or our pastures that our cows are grazing on. It's not desirable growth. And so I even panned out and showed you how good the field looks overall, but I also showed you how it looks right around that ragweed. And when you get things growing that you didn't put there, or that you don't want there, or whatever the case may be, it starts to choke out all that is good and all the things that you do want there. And so you could see in that area that the grass wasn't growing as well. There's actually bare spots around it because this ragweed it's basically an invasive species here, and it will multiply. It will not just stay in one area, it will multiply and it will take over, and it will shade out good things and kill those back until you look up and ragweed is everywhere. And that just really got me thinking on how, we are in a time here that we're having to clip our pastures with a bush hog. And that's kind of hard to do, honestly, because when grass is so essential to what you're doing and you look out and it looks like there's a lot of growth, and then you get to looking and it's really a lot of weeds or problematic things that they have picked over. And now that the cows have picked over the grass underneath, those problem things are shading out any regrowth of good things. But when grass is your main gig and that's what you're feeding your animals, it's really difficult to go out there with a bush hog and start chopping it down. but it looks so much better. You could see in that clip of Lane bush hogging how much better it looked where he had bush hogged compared to what he was mowing down. And that was basically just a mirage. That wasn't good grass that was standing there. That was weeds and things that had gotten out of control that were then going to start choking out the good things. And the same thing is true here in this hayfield. It's not sometimes even easy to spot these things in the hayfield, like this ragweed. But if you don't look closely and try to start eliminating some of these things, they'll just become bigger things. They will end up taking over our entire pasture. In fact, that has happened before, where we just looked at it and from a distance it looks green and lush and beautiful, but you investigate and it's really ragweed or buttercup or something like that, which may look good on the surface, but it's of no value to what you're trying to accomplish. So that really got me to thinking, just because that's the season we're in. And I want to take you on a little drive and show you something. So now we are on the other side of our pasture, and we literally baled this last week and it has taken off. We just continue to be blessed. We're getting rains this year at the right time and we're having amazing grass growth. But it took hours to cut this side. And then it rained on the hay 3 times, which when you're baling hay, if you've ever baled hay, you know that is literally pretty much a nightmare, because then you have to try to do things to get that dried out and try to make something out of something that has not cured in like optimum conditions. It's just a headache. We did persevere and get it done, but now that we did the hard work of cutting this, it's came back more beautiful than it was before. We're seeing deer out here every day grazing. It's going to make an amazing third cutting of hay here on this side of the pasture. And so the same thing is true on the side that Ben is cutting today. He's having to do the hard work to mow it and get some of those weeds mowed down. But if we didn't do the hard work, those weeds would just continue to grow along with the good grass, and they would eventually take over. And so I've just been thinking about that in life in general and on farms. Sometimes it's easy to turn a blind eye and see jobs that need doing either on your farm or homestead or your business or your work in general, and just continue to put those off until one day you look up and something little has become something really huge and problematic. That has happened to us guys so many more times than I can count. Ignored a problem because we didn't have time to address it right then, and then go somewhere and get a call that something has gone wrong while we're gone because of a problem that we should have stopped and taken care of when it was small. Or attitudes that we haven't kept in check. Things, you know, happen and we don't deal with them, and then little things become big things and they grow into something you're angry or bitter about because you didn't deal with it when it was a tiny little root. You let the weeds just take over your whole life. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, ignoring the weeds might be easy in the moment, but it has consequences, and sometimes those consequences catch up to you. So I don't know what you're dealing with in your life. We are in I feel like we're in a very big transition time in our life. Our kids are both almost grown now, and so it's Ben and I here, and if we don't figure out what we can do and do well, we're gonna have a whole lot of things going that have weeds in them. And we're not gonna be doing anything excellent. We're gonna be doing a lot of things very, very mediocre. And so maybe you're where we are and you have had help in the past and now you don't. Or maybe, you know, your job has just become overwhelming to the point you're not doing anything well. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe you've let your plate get too full and So therefore now you have a whole lot of things that have weeds in them instead of a few things that are lush and growing and thriving. So I just want to encourage you guys to take stock. Where are the weeds at in your life that you need to get in there and you need to mow them down or pluck them up at the roots even, and you need to reevaluate. I know lately I have let my plate get so full that it's become a platter. And I don't say this because I'm having a pity party or I want you guys is like, I'm so sorry. I don't say it like that. Like, I have a lot of wonderful things going on in my life. So I'm not down. I'm not down in the dumps. I'm not depressed, anything like that. It's just I'm busy. And I know you guys can relate. And so I guess what I'm saying is, just because something is good doesn't mean that it belongs on your plate at that time. So take stock. Is there things that you need to, weeds that you need to pluck up? Or maybe they're good things and you just need to mow them down for the season, and maybe they have a place, but just not right now. And I would encourage you, if your relationships with your most treasured people in this world are suffering, that's a good indication that you need to do some weed checking. If your highest priority of responsibilities are suffering, you need to do some weed checking. And I'm preaching to the choir here. I'm saying this to myself as well, because there's only so many hours in a day. And there's only so many days in a life, you guys. And I don't mean to make that over dramatic, but there really is. I mean, I guess I'm just reflecting on this because my kids are grown, that it just flew by. And so I don't want to take one day for granted. I feel like I didn't with them, and my heart is so full from the life that I had with them, but I don't want to get so busy in this next season that I let so many weeds creep in and choke out all the good. I hope that this rambling helps you guys in some way or another, maybe even if it's just one of you. But I know overwhelm is real, and being so busy and so overwhelmed and your plate is so full that the weeds are literally choking out the life, it's no way to live. So take stock today and take hope, take courage that you can do some weeding out, and you can get back to a place of peace and of contentment and of joy. Sometimes it's literally just right around the corner. You just need to make some decisions and be at peace with that, and let go of expectations that other people or the world might be putting on you. Do what you can do and find joy in it and call it a day. And enjoy your life, because it's the only one you're gonna get. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know this is a bunch of just rambling, but that's just where I'm at. We're mowing and weeding, and I'm actually doing that in my real life too. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. God bless.